What truly is the timeline for the Washington Wizards? Today, I got special guest Alfonso Rose from the Dirty Bucket podcast to help a brother out. We're going to answer that next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again, and today I appreciate you guys making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day. And tonight's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And I'm very excited about tonight, man, because I'm a big fan. Tonight we have special guest Alfonso Rose from the Dirty Bucket podcast. How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Thank you very much for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh, man, anytime. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the show. You be having me cracking up, man. So definitely, I've always wanted you on the show, man. So it just felt like it was time to bring you on the show, man. So tonight, man, we got a hard job, man, because at one point we felt like we knew what the timeline was, right? But if you look at all 5 draft picks under Will Dawkins, none of them can have a beer. And the fact that they moved on from Denny, which, first glance, 23 years old, they drafted him, they developed him, and they moved on from him at 23. The timeline has changed. So we're going to look at 3 players tonight, Jordan Poole, Cory and Sadique Bay, and wonder why they are not part of the timeline. So let's get into it, Alfonso. Jordan Poole, and like I said, at one point, kind of like Denny, Cory Kispert, all the not Will Dawkins, but all the Tommy picks outside of Johnny Davis, I felt like they were part of the deadline or the timeline. Because look at that, Cory Kispert, young shooter. If you look at Denny, we drafted him, developed him, he's starting to come into his own. Rui already on his way out at that point. But now the timeline has changed. They've gone younger. And, they traded Denny to the Portland Trailblazers on draft night for 2 first-round picks, and it ended up being Bub Carrington. So looking at Jordan Poole, I'm high on Jordan Poole. At one point, I thought he was definitely the future point guard. But so looking at Jordan Poole, is he a guy that you can see kind of holding down the point guard position for the next 3 years and then kind of keeping the seat warm for Bub Carrington? Or looking at the timeline, do you not so much as an age thing, or do you think that Will Dawkins kind of has the guys that he likes and Jordan Poole still could be part of the timeline? What are you thinking?
I think it's still a toss-up, Like I think what I'm high on Jordan Poole too. Like I haven't given up on him yet. But like considering the season he had last year, now you're at the point where it's just like, okay, now we got to see how he plays this upcoming year. I feel like Will Dawkins and company probably traded for him thinking that they can flip him again in the future. It looks like they have that type of like mentality, which is not a bad mentality. I mean, you could tell all he wants is draft picks for days. So, but seeing the way Bub played in Summer League, again, it's just Summer League though, so we can't get way too ahead of ourselves. At the same time, he's still Bub's like I think he just turned 19. Sorry, but I think it all depends on how Jordan Poole is going to play up this upcoming season. Even if he were to play good, I can still see Dawkins trying to flip him in the future, even if he were to have a good season. So I don't know. I do like that he did improve his point guard skills towards the end. Like he was a facilitator, which is awesome, which is what we needed because he was playing bad off ball with Tyus Jones in the beginning of the season. But yeah, I still think it's a toss up, honestly.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. It is 50-50 because, like I said, at one point I definitely believed that he was part of the future. Along with Denny, along with Cory Kispert. The list goes on. And I feel like they were the young foundation that was built upon with them drafting Bilal, Tristan Vucevic, because with Tristan Vucevic, it was about time we saw a second-round pick actually show up and play. Because most of our second-round picks are on the milk carton somewhere. We don't even know where they're at, So that was refreshing. But like I said, the timeline changed. And, a lot of people, the Denny trade was kind of, either you loved it or you hated it. Me personally, wasn't a big fan of it. I know you weren't a big fan of it. I feel like Denny was a guy who could blossom into something. But then, I get it because, the complaint as far as the Wizards fans, man, is that, it is the rebuild, right? I don't think we've ever been through a proper rebuild. No, under Grunfeld, man. That's the thing. We've never been through a rebuild or a proper rebuild. Because, Ernie Grunfeld missed on picks like it was nothing. The year we could have got Klay Thompson. John Wall said draft Klay Thompson out of Washington State. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the list goes on in the misses we had. I mean, you can go even way back to where we traded number 7 for Randy Foye and Mike Miller to the Minnesota Timberwolves, man.
Could
I
have
mean,
Chef Curry.
could have Steph Curry.
Yep.
We could have had Steph and Klay.
Yeah.
And you know,
Enough said. You know. Yeah.
So I mean, we've had so many misses, man. And then Tommy Shepard. With Tommy Shepard's picks, it wasn't so much they were bad picks; they didn't fit the timeline at the time. You know, we had Bradley Beal. You know, we had a team. We needed pieces that can come in and contribute right away. Denny had to be developed. You know, Rui had to be developed. You know, Johnny Davis still needs to be developed. And, you know, you look at Corey Kispert. You know, he's a guy. You know, high basketball IQ. You know, he's sniper. You slash. You can attack the basket, but he's had to be developed. You know, especially on the defensive end. They weren't able to contribute right away, which is why I think that. You know, his picks weren't bad. They just didn't fit his personal timeline. Go back to the whole argument with Denny versus Tyrese Halliburton, but did we really have the necessary pieces in place for Tyrese Halliburton to be successful in DC? And I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
Would he have been the same player? I don't think so. So, you know, looking at Jordan Poole, I think the timeline has changed. And I think that Bub Carrington, this summer league, and I get this summer league, I'm with you, summer league. The same, it's a, you know, other side of the coin is, you know, everybody's getting on Alex Sarr. I mean, it's 5 summer league games, man. 5 summer league games. You know, he's got all year to simulate to the NBA. So I'm not ready to panic yet. Bub Carrington looked good, man.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's going to have growing pains. This is going to be a long season. We may win 20, 25 games because, look, Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole about to go off and they're about to do like they did last year. And all 30 times a game. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm with you, Alfonso, man. I think that it's 50-50. I think if you look at his age, I think that what they're going to do is they're going to let him cook for 3 years. And then in that 3rd year, by that point, man, he's going to raise his trade value up to a point where they're going to flip him. Because, you know, Bub Carrington is ready. I think he's the point guard of the future. Yeah. I mean, he's crazy good. He's a dog. We need more dogs here in D.C., man. So I'm going to flip it on you, man. Corey Kispert is getting into Corey Kispert. Kind of the same thing. Tommy Shepard pick. I mean, do you see him being part of the future, or do you see him kind of taking the Denny route? Sign him to a team-friendly deal and then flipping him?
I mean, this is his last year of his contract, right? So I think he's gonna demand a hefty contract. I think he's still improving. One of the best shooters in the league, in my opinion. He can also cut. He's not just a shooter; like he's just gonna stand there, just knock down the shot. Like, you know, I'm thinking like they're probably gonna offer him like a Joe Harris type of contract. I mean, like they compare him a lot to Joe Harris, but. I definitely think that he's going to get a bigger contract than what Denny did, because what Denny was on was a steal. Like they just banked on his upside, and you know we hit the lottery with that. I mean, we previously did, but with Corey, that's the one that I keep thinking about. It's like I think if we were to put him on a trade market, we would get like definitely a 1st rounder in return, like right now. But you need those type of players like to build your team, you know. So I'm more of like I want to keep him. I'm a big fan of Corey too. It's just more of just like how much do we want to pay for him? Because he's a little bit on the older side. He's 25 years old, where everybody else, like, you know, like you said, they can't drink a beer yet. So is he gonna be there, you know, once everybody starts like getting around his age? So I don't know. That's another toss up for me. I'm very indecisive tonight. But like, you know, it's like so many question marks, but I love that about it. I love the intrigue. Like, you know, we don't know what Will Dawkins is cooking up right now. And I have faith in Will Dawkins, especially in this drafting, because in the past, you know, with Tommy Shepard, Ernie Grunfeld, it was hit or miss. It was definitely hit or miss. Johnny Davis, I'm still recovering from that pick. I'm not gonna, if I were GM, we were playing 2K, I would sign Corey to a long term. Possibly before this season even starts, because what if he were to break out and he raises even his price tag even more?
Boom. That's a great point. And then you kind of saw that with Denny, right? Because they signed him to probably the craziest contract in the NBA. Because I mean, if you look at value, I mean, it was one of the best contracts. So I think they could kind of take that route where, you know, sign him to a very team friendly rookie extension, and then if he breaks out, then you get him on the cheap, and then you can flip him. So I'm kind of, you know, it's great. Like I said, I'm with you. I'm in the gray area because, like I said, I thought that both of them were part of the timeline because they're still young. They haven't hit the prime yet. And you can say that about, you know, Jordan Poole. You know, he hasn't hit his prime yet. This guy, you know, I was very excited when he put on from the Warriors. And like I said, he struggled. But what impressed me more than anything about Jordan Poole was this. He took L after L after L from almost every major sports platform, if not in the country, in the world. So what did he do? Look at Ben Simmons. What did Ben Simmons do? He broke down. Now he's got back issues and all this other stuff. Jordan Poole kept working, man. When he went to 6-man, he went out there and did his thing. When Tyus went down, he was able to start. And look, we were number one in pace in the second half of last season. And it showed that with the ball in his hands, pushing the pace. Because look, John Wall, Russell Westbrook, Gilbert Arenas, man, we're all spoiled by these type of point guards. Which they attack in transition. They attack the paint, they collapse the defense, and they utilize shooters. John Wall got how many people paid? I mean, Otto Porter doesn't get paid without John Wall, right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's the blueprint for what the Wizards are trying to do. If you look at Will Dawkins, who, by the way, I'm a big fan. He's been doing a great job. Yeah, you can look at the Tyus Jones thing and say he took an L, but, he deserves an L too, man, because he's done a great job so far. They're going to, the biggest thing about what he's trying to do is versatility. Be able to defend and play multiple positions. Fitting the modern day player, especially at the 5 position. If you look at Alex R, played a 4 and a 5, with his ability to stretch the floor. Yes, his offense is going to take time, but he's got a vision. He's got a blueprint, which Ernie Grunfeld, I don't even think he had a blueprint. I think he just showed up the work and said, it is what it is, right? And Tommy, like I said, his draft game wasn't bad. It just didn't fit his timeline. So we're going to get into Sadique Bay, man. Obviously, Sadique Bay is going to be out recovering from his ACL injury, but look, is he part of the timeline? We're going to answer that next. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Gametime. So y'all know, man, I'm a sports fanatic, man. I go to games all the time, man. Just got tickets to the Cubs-Nats game, man, on the 31st, man. And then this year will be my first time going to M&T Bank Stadium. Yes, I'm a Commanders fan, but I'm going to see what Lamar Jackson rocking with this year, man. So I got my first tickets to their home opener against the Raiders, man. So, look, I'm going to games all the time. And there's 3 main reasons why I rock with Gametime as opposed to other ticket apps. 3 main reasons. Number 1, last-minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets, not only for sports events, but concerts, comedy shows, theater events, etc. What else do I like? All-in pricing. This feature shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. I ain't gonna name drop nobody, but there's some ticket apps, man, where it'll turn a $75 ticket into a $150 price ticket, man, and that ain't gonna happen with me, man. All right, the third thing I like, Gametime ticket coverage, man. Your ticket is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry. I'm trying to tell y'all. So look, do yourself a favor. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms applied again. Create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day long? Had to turn on the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. All right, let's get back into it, and we're going to talk about Sadique Bay. Now, we were talking about cheap contracts, man. We looked at Denny's, potentially Cory Kispert, Sadique Bay. And you can argue, Alfonso, that if he didn't get injured, not that I'm saying it's a good thing he got injured, but if he didn't get injured, you're not going to sign him for that price tag. So we were able to get Sadique Bay on the cheap. So 25 years old, on one hand, very young, could still fit the timeline. But then, like we just said, the timeline has changed. So Sadique Bay comes back from ACL surgery. Are you showcasing him for a future trade? Are you going to see where he fits? Or how are you going to approach Sadique Bay the year after this?
I think like he has a reputation of being like a gym rat. He's a good leader, and he's only I think he's correct me if I'm wrong, 25, 26, 25, right? So he'll be 26 next year. And I know his 3-point has been a little bit inconsistent. I'm still more leaning that I would not leave him open out in the 3 because I know he's gonna drain that. But it's more of just with him. The first thing I thought of was is this Cory Kispert insurance or something like that? Yeah. But then at the same time, I looked at it and I was just no, they're probably gonna be minutes in this rotation next year for up for grabs, and competition is always great. So even if we draft another wing next year or something like that, competition's great. So I think Sadique Bay can have a little role next year. And then if he does ball out, or if he does, like, I mean, he should exceed, like, because his contract's very, very minimum. Then, you know, we have like something in our hands where we can extend him, or, you know, we can, you know, always trade him at the trade deadline. But overall, I really do like that. That was my favorite signing. Well, besides Jonas. But yeah. But yeah, definitely. I really like what Will Dawkins is doing right now.
Look, man, Will Dawkins is cooking like an air fryer, brother. I'm trying to. He's doing a good job, man. I mean, he's done well. He really has, because he's taking an approach that he's looking at. Why weren't we successful? You know, you looked at where all the failures were with the previous regimes, Ernie Grunfeld, Tommy Shepard. Our scouting department has been trashed for a long time. We did not have a scouting department. You know, we didn't have a coaching staff that where development was the name of the game. If you look at Brian Keefe, look at his resume. Look at the players that he's had a hand in developing. The list goes on. Goes stretching all the way back to Oklahoma City days. Yeah. You know, and then the funny thing was, I looked at the video Ben Simmons, and I saw Brian Keefe on the side. I was like, I guess he missed on one.
Yeah. Well, he's human. He's not going to be able to, you know, he's not going to do the Lord's work. But
yeah, you know, Ben Simmons is a whole nother conversation, man. But you know, Will Dawkins has done an immaculate job, because the model is OKC. You know, acquiring draft assets, acquiring young players, you know, picking on bad contracts or veterans. But the biggest thing with the timeline is that you have 3 years till you start to see the first big moment for this front office, which is re-signing Bilal Coulibaly. Because you think about it, in 3 years, he's going to be up for an extension. Yeah. Look at every major contract they have. Jordan Poole, he's got 3 more years. Kyle Kuzma, 3 more years. Jonas Valanciunas signed for 3 years. Sadique Bay, 3 years. So, you know, Malcolm Brogdon 1 year, but, you know, he's definitely going to flip him. So I think the biggest thing is, you know, let these vets hold the fort down, utilize them for mentorship, you know, because like I said, we just re-signed Anthony Gill. I like Anthony Gill. So, I mean, let them cook for 3 years, try to get some value out of them. Now, one thing to look at is, and this is kind of a question for you on the way out, man, is it risky to you to sign so many vets on the likelihood that you can get max value out of them? Because if you look at Tyus Jones and in a certain degree Kyle Kuzma, I think the market has spoken a little bit about what their true value is. You know, you're looking at Tyus Jones, he walked for nothing. You know, in looking at the KP trade, we pretty much gave him away, even though he could have walked for nothing. You know, so the likelihood of Tyus walking for nothing was definitely there. So do you think we kind of misread the market with Tyus Jones, and to a certain degree Kyle Kuzma?
I think with Tyus, yes. But like, I mean, he had like a mark. Apparently, somebody offered 5 second-round picks or something like that for Tyus. I mean, that's more than what we got for Rui. I think Rui got like 3 or 4. It's just more of just like a learning experience, I guess, for Will Dawkins. I mean, he's really young. Like, I think he's still in his 30s. Will Dawkins, he's not like one of those up in the age GMs. But for Kyle Kuzma, I think we're more of just like waiting for like the perfect trade package, because like the rumor was 2 first-rounders for Kyle Kuzma, which I think is like fair value. But it looks like mostly everybody's just offering just 1 first-rounder. I was surprised that they traded Kuzma on draft night instead of Denny. I mean, you know, I mean, when I saw that Woj tweet, I thought it was I was for sure certain like that's Kuzma. But anyways, that's in the past. I got to move forward. But it's more of just like now. I think Will Dawkins is just playing the waiting game. Eventually, somebody's going to offer somewhere near to the compensation that Will Dawkins is seeking for. You never know. I mean, knock on wood. I mean, obviously, we don't wish injuries upon nobody, but like if an injury were to happen in another team, and then they are like a team that's in the playoffs, you know, they could be desperate and settle for Kyle. Or not even settle. I mean, Kyle's a good player. So I still got my eyes on the Kings, maybe. The Lakers, they were talking about the Lakers reuniting with them. That's another team I got my eyes. But then again, the Lakers, they're not draft picks like 2040. So, but yeah, I still think I'm thinking like a trade, if not right before the season, but around the trade deadline for Kyle Kuzma, to see, you know, the what people are gonna offer more, you know.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I think everything comes down to timing, right? Timing and fit. If you look at Jordan Poole, he is officially the guy at point guard. Now, with Malcolm Brogdon, we've seen what Jordan Poole playing the 2 guard in an undersized backcourt does, right? Even though Brogdon is a better defender than Tyus Jones. So I think that right now Malcolm Brogdon could be your 2 guard, maybe he's 6-man. Right now, a lot of dominoes need to fall before we get a clear picture. But I think we all agree that Jordan Poole is the guy at point guard. And I think that, look, he's going to come into the season with a chip on his shoulder.
Yep.
He knows people were hating. Look, he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's going to come in and he's going to have a career season. And I think it's going to boost his trade value through the roof, man. And they're going to retain him and wait another year. And then, and we would say should, but same thing with Kyle Kuzma. Him on the wing, because he could potentially be on the wing if they decide to go ahead and start Alex R. We'll see, this kind of 50-50 on what people think about starting Alex R. Number 2 overall pick, you got to play him. But then, he struggled. So, but Kyle Kuzma, man, they put him in that wing, his size. I'm telling you, he's going to have a career season, man. He's definitely going to average more than 22 points a game, in my opinion. So I think he's going to boost his trade value, and I think he's going to end up getting traded at the deadline. And I'm with you, like I said, I have been a critic of the 2 first-round picks. Not that I don't think he can net that. I just think that, I don't know. I can see us getting 2 first-rounders, but I think they're going to be towards the later stage of the first round. I don't think we're going to get all the picks. You know what I mean? And you look at if you look at a team like the Lakers, and like I said, Laker fans didn't went after me already about this, but every year it seems like we're trying to get a package together to help them win a championship, man. Like, it's like, it seems like every person who's on the market is linked to the Lakers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see. Like I said, Kyle Kuzma, I'm a big fan of Kyle Kuzma. I think the biggest thing is, and this is a question I asked Kyle Kuzma at exit interviews at the end of the season. I said, look, you won a championship in LA. You're a leader in DC. What's the part of your game that you changed? And he said straight up, he said, look, get other people involved, because he knows that for him to get his touches and still hit the blueprint, which is development of young talent, he's got to change his game a little bit. He can't be shooting the ball 30 times a game. And the same with Jordan Poole is that they've got to change their games a little bit, because they can't take these transition threes. They got to, shoot a lot more high percentage shots. Definitely look to get other people involved. And, look, Bilal's a guy that you have to see progression this season. Same thing with Sarr. I mean, look, we have nothing but time to rebuild and develop, but, you want to see progression at some point. They have to make it a youth movement at some point. So we're going to get into final grades, and then I'm going to let you go, man, because we can sit on here and talk ball for hours, man. But before we do, man, I'm going to talk to you guys about Locked On NBA. But first, thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. For your second listen, enjoy Locked On NBA podcast. There is no offseason in the NBA. I'm trying to tell y'all. Locked On NBA provides daily basketball analysis from the national and local experts in 30 minutes or less. It's that easy. No one keeps you as informed and entertained as Locked On NBA. Available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. So let's look at the draft real quick before we roll, man. Where do you draft each guy and why? Or no, not draft, Lord. Grade.
Each guy like in a starting lineup, or
just overall, where do you grade them so far? Is I guess we could throw in Summer League, but we'll throw in Summer League. Like,
Summer League. Bub, A+. A definitely. Sarr, probably like a what's the C minus. Well, I know I gotta be
nice, man.
Yeah, D+, D minus. Yeah. Not just D. 65 on the average. I don't want to give him, because I don't want to explain for my grades. So I'm not a professor. Keyshawn, I'll probably C+. C+. He's still young, really young. I wanted to see more of the Vooch or Vukovic. He only played like 9 minutes or something like that, right? He's he didn't really play that much. So I guess him is not eligible. But those 3 are the main ones. Obviously Bilal's in France, doing his thing. So gotta support him over there. But I mean, I'm not too down on Sarr, honestly. He showed on defense what he's capable of, and that's his bread and butter. If he wasn't producing on the defensive side in the summer league, then maybe I'll be sweating a little bit here and there. But I think with Sarr, we'll be fine. Just gotta be a little bit patient.
What surprised me is the total lack of patience for Alex Sarr. I mean, it's 5 summer league games. I mean, summer league's weird because you could blow out in summer league and you can have a bad year. it's just one of those things, man. It's like the Madden curse. You know what I mean? It's like you don't know if I'm gonna tear an ACL, what's going to happen, man. You know, it's too early to tell. I doing my analysis on the draft, man, I knew he was very raw coming out of the draft.
Yeah.
Especially offensively. Now you see the two areas that you're going to see pay dirt early on is going to be rebounding, which he's already a better rebounder than he was in Australia. You know, the big knock against him in Australia was, was rebounding. You already see his rebounding numbers were not bad. But his rim protection is going to be the first thing you see automatically, progress. His offensive side is going to take time. The lack of aggression does scare me a little bit, but Jonas Valanciunas, man, look, he's a dog. He's a guy who's always got a chip on his shoulder. He always plays the Wizard stuff, so that was moved out like 2. He's always been a hard-nosed center. I think he's going to push him in practice. I think he's going to be just fine in the long run. But Alex Sarr, it's going to take time. We have nothing but time. We have potentially 3, maybe 4 years of rebuilding, man. Yeah. Before you start to see this rebuild really, see the results of it, man. And you need even in the scope of grading Will Dawkins, it's way too early for that because you're not going to see the return for any of those free agents or any of these draft picks for at least 3 to 4 years. You know what I mean? So it's too early to really judge that. Bub, dog, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a dog. I mean,
Baltimore,
man. Be more product. I mean, this guy is a sniper. First shot he took in summer league was a 3-point shot. I was like, here we go. All right, now we cooking, man. You know what I mean? I mean, he's just with his vision. He's got a fast first step. Do want to see him get a little faster attacking the basket, but his first step is money. I mean, the fact that he got 15 rebounds last game. I mean. I love a guard who is hard-nosed, goes in there and gets rebounds, dives for loose balls. He checks all the boxes, and that's what
competitive,
uber competitive. I mean, the kid can flat out play, man. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. He's a future point guard. Yeah, and like I said, I love Jordan Poole, but the timeline has changed. Yeah, and like I said, at one point, Denny was definitely part of the timeline. Jordan Poole was part of the timeline. Corey Kispert, they were the foundation to build upon. And then we added Bilal Vucevic, but Will Dawkins said, "Look, this is gonna be a long rebuild." And he made it known from the get-go. We're not going to cut corners. We're going to take our time with this one. And they're doing that. You can't hit them on that because they're definitely taking their time. So, like I said, if you are part of the future, you ain't taking no shots of Ibaka, man, because you are not old enough to do so. I think Keyshawn's 20. Somebody else just turned 20. I don't know if it was Bob, but who just turned 20? But somebody else just turned 20. So these guys are young. They're very young. Yeah. So I'm with you on that. Keyshawn George, you see the scoring potential in him. Yeah. With his size, he's like Bilal. He's still growing. His shot is money. His ball handling needs work. He's not a guy that right now I want to see him bring the ball up. I want to see him more of an off-ball guy. Yeah. Working off ball, get himself in the best position to score. But I think at 24th overall, that again, it's chestnut checkers. Will Dawkins flip that trade with the New York Knicks, man, and you get a kid at 24 who could be part of the rotation next couple of years, man. He's good. So, and then look at that Bilal, man. Bilal's a dog. I mean, his athleticism. How many times did he put a couple of people on poster, man? I mean, he could play. The biggest thing with him is his offensive skill set, right? Yeah. 3-point shot, that mid-range, counter moves, you know what I mean? Working on his ball handling. And these are all things that he's expressed, at press conferences that I cover, man, that he wants to add these parts of his game. He's the workaholic. So I think Bilal's going to be all right. Now, Vucevic, I haven't heard anything from the organization, but there has been rumors that maybe there's a little friction behind the scenes. We'll see with Vucevic because it is alarming that he didn't get a lot of play in summer league. Yeah, which he desperately, if anybody, you wanted to see a lot more Vucevic, man. So I'm with you, man. I think that the future is bright. I think that people need to get a chill pill, man. Relax. They got number time. Sarr's gonna be all right. Yeah, because what's the other name that people keep bringing up? Cam Whitmore. And yes, Cam Whitmore is a baller, man, but he ain't part of the timeline, man. So I guess we got to rely on Will Dawkins. We got to trust the process. I feel like a Sixers fan now. Trust the process, and hopefully it ends up better than their process, man. Yeah. Even though I think they're gonna be good with Paul George, but so man, before we roll, like I said, big fan of your show, man. I watch every daggone video, man. Like I said, you be having me laughing, man. So I know you're over there at the Dirty Bucket podcast. Anything else you want to plug real quick, man?
No, just the Dirty Bucket. That's like I do like a Wizards video. I'm been a tormented Wizards fan since conception, so I gotta I know everything about them, so it's probably easy just to make videos about them. But I do a video of them like maybe once or twice a week, and then I try to like do videos on stuff outside around the NBA. Yeah. But that's the only thing I got going on. But thank you very much for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh man, look, anytime, man. You definitely gonna be back, man, because I had a ball tonight, man. So, like I said, you guys check my man Alfonso Rose out, man. Like I said, the Dirty Bucket, he'll have you laugh, man. But he's throwing facts out there in NBA knowledge. So definitely check my guy out, man. So, all right, everybody. As you guys know, I will be on vacation Wednesday going forward to Monday. So, next video I will be dropping from Wednesday. I'm gonna do the 5-year redraft for the Washington Wizards. So definitely put your seatbelt on because it's gonna be a ride, man. So again, when I thank you again, Alfonso, man, for coming on the show. And hey, we will see you guys next time. Hail to the Wizards and peace. See everybody later.